Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, I'm Steph. I'm going to show you today a box of HelloFresh. I've had HelloFresh a few times now. I think it says it's my 7th box. I do tend to only get it if I can get some discount off it because personally for me, I find it quite expensive and it doesn't really align with my personal budget. And actually at the moment, it doesn't really align with my personal ethos, so my ethics, because I'm really trying to reduce my rubbish. However, I've been skipping orders because I had a 50% off code and I just completely forgot this week. So the money came out and the boxes arrived and I'm just going to roll with it. So I figured, well, while I've got it, I may as well show you what it's all about. If you haven't heard of HelloFresh, I've got to do some research, but I believe it's an American company. It's been in Australia now for a number of years and it is a meal delivery service. So they basically deliver kits to your home with most of the things you need, bar a few pantry staples, and then you basically cook the meals with the recipes that they provide. I really quite like most of the recipes. I have had some hit and miss with the deliveries before. Some of the produce didn't hold out to the dates that it said, but they're really good when you deal with them. They're good at crediting your account or giving you meal credits for what you've missed out on. So it's a little bit of an inconvenience at times, but for the most part, I found it pretty good. Obviously, probably seen it before with like lots of people who are influencers and things spruiking it. I am not an influencer. As you can see, I don't have a whole host of subscribers. This is not a free box. I paid for it myself. It is a family box, so it's 5 meals for 4 people. It cost me $90 Australian. Normally it would be $180, I believe, which to me is just astronomical. It's more than my whole weekly grocery shop. That being said, there are obviously some pros and cons, which I will discuss more towards the end of the video, but I'm gonna go get the box because I've just received the text message that it's at the door and I don't want it to stay out there too long, even though I know it will last. And excuse the look, it is a Sunday, so it's Sunday morning and I've been making soup and bread and other stuff for the week. So yeah, sorry about this. So they just leave it where you instruct them to. I just said front door. I'm so glad that they deliver it to my area on a Sunday now. It used to be Tuesdays and you can still get it delivered on Tuesdays. That doesn't align. I work Monday to Wednesday. So it doesn't make sense for me to get a meal delivery kit because to me it's mostly for convenience. So Sunday worked really well and it's no extra charge. Okay, so this is the box. It's got a pull tab now. It never used to have that. So that makes it nice and easy. That was kind of fun. As I said, I don't love the amount of packaging in this, but I am going to recycle absolutely everything that I possibly can. So, what have we got? All right, this week on the family menu, there was 6 meals to choose from. I got 5. So we've got the Mexican crumbed chicken burger. Now it says to use chicken first. So if you haven't had it before, it says eat me early. So pretty much any chicken dish will say that. Any fish dish will also say that. It tells you how long it takes to prepare it. So how much hands-on time there is. So most of this is hands-on. The cooking time is minimal. And it tells you what they supply, and then it also says what you need, olive oil and eggs. I've only got 2 eggs and I need 4 for this week, so I'm gonna have to get some more, so that's a little annoying, but that's my oversight. It has detailed recipe instructions on the back, 6 steps. All recipes, I believe, have 6 steps. It tells you what ingredients you have. It says it should feed 4 to 5 people, and it tells you the energy per serving, so it's a little on the higher side for what I would normally eat, higher in carbohydrates. Sugar's not great, but not too bad. So next recipe, we have a Cheats Italian pork and veggie bolognese with penne and parmesan. Husband obviously would love this one. Again, it says 4 to 5 people. Sesame crumbed Japanese chicken, which I think is what we're going to have for dinner tonight. That's with soy, greens and mayo and rice, so that looks pretty nice. Higher in calories, it's the mayos and stuff that do it. So you can probably cut that down by reducing your portion and cutting out some of the mayos and stuff. Cheesy Mexican tortilla bake. I'm going to make this one up in advance, I think. 25 to 35 minutes. And lastly, smoky mild chorizo and bean chili. I think I'm going to make this one up today for the fridge for the week. So I think this one will keep the best for a few days in the fridge. Okay, so they're the 5 recipes I've got. So how it works, you get color-coded little brown bags. Each brown bag has its own little circle color on it, and that aligns and matches up with each of the recipe cards, so you know exactly which recipe it is that you are cooking at the time. So I've got those ones, and oh, that's a big one. I reckon that's got the burgers in it because it's quite bulky. I've got 5 there. In here, you'll also have your cold bag. Reuse this pouch to keep things cool. Well, I'm not going to reuse it, I don't think, but anyway, I don't know what I can do with it. It's plant-based, I guess that's something. I really like these boxes. I use them to store Emmett's old clothes in, so I can use them for that. All right, and they've got little freezer bags. Again, I keep these. My mum loves them. She said they last for forever. So I normally put those in the fridge. Here we have got pork mince. So today is the 3rd of August and that's got a 13th of the 8th. I like to use the pork early though because I've had bad experiences with pork. We have Parmesan cheese. There's the chorizo. It's a Primo brand. Yeah, Emma, are you talking too? You tell the people what are we eating for the week? Cool. All right. We've got beef mince. Again, same expiry date. About 500 grams of that. So it's about how much I would use if we were cooking for us. So that's good. Same deal here. 500 grams of chicken breast. Some shredded cheese. Oh wow, more chorizo. Okay, so that's quite a lot to make that chili. So that's good. Oh, that's a lot of chicken. 606.69 kilograms. I can't even speak. That's good. What's that? Light sour cream. I normally use full fat, but that's fine. More shredded cheese. More shredded cheese. This is where people go, oh my god, the plastic. So I will soft plastic recycle all of this. Nonetheless, still frustrating. A big tub of mayonnaise. Another ice pack, so it's definitely well chilled. Some more mayonnaise and some Greek style yogurt. All right, so as you can see, lots of packaging, which is where I take a bit of issue with it. My advice, what I like to do next is I like to go through all the recipes and make sure that everything's here. So I'm going to do that and then I'm just going to do that off camera because I feel like it's going to be pretty boring. But I will show you the contents of the bags as I go throughout the week and cook the recipes. Yes, there is a lot of packaging for some things, but they do put all the veg loose as much as they can. So like all the garlic was loose, the red onion was loose, the zucchinis were loose. So I think that they do okay given what they can. I'm not sure how they would go about reducing it further. Yeah, I really don't know how they would reduce it any further than they already have. This is something that irritates me, and I know that they do it because they have different sized meals. So this meal's probably on a regular menu as well. But like 4 individual packets of sesame seeds when that all could be in one packet, that kind of stuff, I just feel like they maybe need to up their game and look at shrinking the packaging. And the sesame crumb chicken, it says to eat early. I'm not sure whether we're going to have that tonight with the burgers. So I'll freeze one of the chickens and get it out as I need it. Quickly go through my initial impressions of this particular box, the family box. You'll probably have noticed the veggies are fairly repetitious. Lots of carrot, lots of beans, lots of zucchini. Obviously, they need to go with what's seasonal, what's affordable, what transports well. In terms of freshness, everything this time around looks pretty decent. Sometimes I've had some like weird, like veggies are a bit funny or like the garlic's a bit gross, but can't complain about the freshness at all in this box. There's nothing missing, so that's a plus. In terms of like the quantities of meat and stuff, everything seems very reasonable for a family of 4 to 5 people, especially if you eat the appropriate serving sizes. Like my husband obviously eats more, so this would be fine, I think, for us if we had 2 young children still. I think if you had teenagers, particularly I know some teenage boys are ravenous eaters, this probably wouldn't work. It probably wouldn't be enough food, but if you just have average size regular adult eaters, it would be fine. Or if you have children under the ages of probably 10, again, I think that this would probably be more than enough food for a family. What I like to do is I like to put the recipe cards on the fridge in the order in which we're going to eat them. So tonight we're having Mexican crumb chicken burgers. I am going to cook up later this afternoon the mild chorizo and bean chili because I think that will be easy to reheat. Dylan is going to make on Tuesday night the Cheats Italian pork and veggie bolognese. Then Wednesday night I'm at my mum's, so Thursday night we're having the Mexican bake, and then I've frozen the chicken, and on Friday night we will finish out the week, I'll defrost it Friday, with that Japanese crumbed chicken. So that's kind of it from me from now. What I will try and do, if I can, is just show you a little bit about the recipes, and I'll show you the finished product and you can decide how you feel about it, and I'll give a final wrap up at the end of the week about. So the first meal we're having with HelloFresh is a winner with Emmett. It's a Tex-Mex chicken burgers. Is that yum? I think the eating of it speaks volumes. Good job, baby. There was a little bit involved in this recipe, but it was fairly simple. There was 6, it ended up being 3 breast fillets, which I cut in half and bashed down. So there was 6 crumbed fillets to go across 5 burgers. I'm having 1 and Dylan's having 2. It's really messy, sorry guys. There's like a little side salad. It's probably just to up the veggie quota. And there's a lemony mayonnaise you make, and then lettuce and tomato to go with it. So yeah, Emmett's eating it. That's a positive. And Dylan and I aren't hungry yet, so we're going to eat after Emmett goes to bed. What's the verdict on your cooking experience with HelloFresh? What do you don't have a PG rating? Well, from as PG as you can. Did you find cooking it not too bad? Like, was it easy, even though it was a lot going on? Was the recipe fairly easy to follow?
Easy to follow.
Yeah. And I'll get your thoughts on the meal soon. I like HelloFresh because my husband can actually start cooking dinner.
No.
Yeah. So I feel like, again, portion-wise, plenty for our family. We've got heaps of leftovers. I feel like my size is probably a normal size portion and Dylan has some sort of mega sized portion. Anyway, we'll give you our thoughts on what it tastes like soon, but Emmett's digging in. That's right, Emmett. My verdict on the mild chorizo, chili, whatever it was called, I thought it tasted pretty good. I probably personally would have liked it better with like normal mince, but I don't know about Dylan. I'll see what he thinks. Dylan's on his second plate. But what do you think of it honestly though?
Good.
What about it is good?
I don't know.
That's vague. I swear he's normally more articulate. Emmett's eaten like more than half of his. He's got tired and he's sort of hit a wall. I finished off mine. Would you cook the recipe again?
Yeah.
That's it. So that one's a tick from us. What's the verdict, Jill?
Pretty boring.
Really? Not as good as my spaghetti. It's got more stuff in it though. Emmett's enjoying it. I haven't tried mine yet. Looks good though. Nothing.
Just eat it all.
You're going to eat all of this tortilla stack thing?
Yes.
So the last of our HelloFresh meals is like a Japanese inspired crumb chicken with garlic ginger rice and a soy mayo. Looks all right. Poor Emmett's sick, but he has eaten his and is enjoying it. So I thought I would just give you a super quick wrap up of our experience, or I should say our latest experience with HelloFresh. I would say that overall the quality of the produce was pretty good this week. I didn't have any issues. In the past I've had some meat that smelled a little funny, which they've credited my account for. I've had a few issues with fresh produce being a little bit less than fresh, I should say. And so I feel like this week, they delivered on the promise of, fresh, HelloFresh, what their brand is kind of named for. I should add that, as I said, I got 50% off for restarting up my account again. So this box for 5 meals for 4 people cost me $90 delivered. And I think ordinarily it's around $180. So it's not super cheap. That being said, my husband is a large eater. He would eat the equivalent of 2 serves of what they allow for. I would eat the serve that's recommended, and then Emmett would eat a half serve. We would then have a full adult serve left. So I think it's fair and reasonable when they say it serves 4 to 5 people. I could definitely have cut my portions further and still been satisfied. I just ate bigger than I should have. What a surprise. And the husband was definitely full, and on occasions he had seconds, and we also had enough for 4 of the day. We had leftovers from every meal. So he took leftover lunches from 4 of the meals, and I also froze 2 burgers. I had one of them for my lunch one day last week and just heated it in the microwave. Didn't obviously have the lettuce and stuff, but it was good. So I think like serving size wise, definitely more than adequate for, your average eaters and your large eaters. So I think you could definitely feed 4 adults comfortably, especially if they're just average eaters and not big eaters. And I think you could easily feed a family of 2 adults and up to 4 children, depending on their ages. If you have teenagers, obviously, not going to work. But I think if you've got children under 10, I definitely think you could stretch it. So, I mean, if you can feed 6 people for $180 for meals that you don't have to think about, that have got the recipes and stuff, I think that's a pretty good deal. Obviously, my pet peeve with HelloFresh at the moment, given what I'm trying to achieve, is the fact that they had a lot of waste. That being said, I recycled the cardboard, I recycled pretty much all of the plastic except some of the stuff that was like meat laden and or like had too much stuff that I couldn't like rinse out. There was a little bit of packaging waste. I reused, there was like a little container that had the yogurt came in, and I've actually kept that, and I'm using that as a little snack container, so I've chosen to repurpose that. The bag that the meat comes packed in, made from plant product, but I wasn't sure how to dispose of it effectively, so that went into the rubbish. Oh my god, my dog's here. Hey dog. I think that they definitely need to do some work on their packaging, but there is less waste in other ways. So if you're someone who notoriously throws vegetables out at the end of the week and you don't compost, or you have too much meat, or that kind of thing, I think that you would cut down in other ways. I think there are ways around the majority of the waste. That being said, it's certainly not a zero waste approach. I definitely think that there's some work that can be done. In terms of flavour, I really enjoyed all meals. I thought they all were really flavoursome. My least favourite was probably the tortilla bake. I make something myself that's very similar and it's way tastier. Well, not way tastier. That's not true. It's not way tastier, but it's just, yeah, it's more my style. But it was still delicious, and I definitely think it's a meal that kids would eat. Emmett didn't because he had been unwell. Again, I feel like every video I'm reporting he's unwell, but that's daycare for you. And then we had probably the chorizo chili was really good. Dylan really enjoyed that. And on the first meal, we made the Cheats pork pasta or whatever it was. And he was like, it's okay. And then he took it for lunch the next day and he was like, oh, it was really good. I'm like, okay. And then when I asked him what his favourite meal for the week was, he said that. Maybe it grew on him. I also thought the chicken burgers, like, I don't know what's going on with their buns. They're probably really high in sugar, but they're really, really soft. They don't look like they're going to be soft, but then once they're toasted and stuff, they're really good. Favourite meal was probably, I really like the sesame crumb chicken with the garlic ginger rice. I love how they do their rices on HelloFresh, and I've really learned how to master rice since I've got them. So that leads me to my next point. I'm a busy person and I only work 3 days a week, but it's a busy job. I'm a high school teacher. I try and get everything prepped on a Sunday so that we have a really seamless week. What was good about it was that I didn't actually prep on the Sunday for once. We had other stuff. I was doing other bits and pieces, cooking, some school marking, and instead Dylan started both the meals on the Monday. He probably made 3/4 of the meal, and on the Tuesday he did the entire thing. That made my life really easy. He is not a cook. He can follow a recipe. He doesn't love cooking. It's not an instinctual thing for him the way it is for me. So that was like, something that I had to consider as well. I definitely think that if you have someone in your family who you want to learn to cook, like teenagers, for example, really great in that way. And he actually did, this was Dylan's comment. He said, if you're a single dude, this meal would be really impressive for a date. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, if you are somebody who has no idea what you're doing, it really introduces people to different flavors. They really use herbs and lemon and nuts and spices and things in a lot of their meals. And I think it really introduces people who have probably eaten quite basic, just little tips and tricks, like even the ginger garlic rice, using olive oil, butter and ginger and garlic to infuse the rice with new flavors. I adopted the same principle one time. I made like a cumin rice. Yeah, I just think that it definitely teaches you new techniques and some new skills and things that maybe beforehand that you may not have been familiar with. I should add that the mess that's created though is quite a lot, and if you're not someone who cooks a lot and don't think about how to clean up as you go, I had a lot of mess to deal with, but I didn't have to cook for 2 nights. So that to me is a huge win, enough almost for me to consider getting the meal kit once a fortnight or once every 3 weeks, just for a couple of nights off for myself. If it's a week where I feel like the meals are really appealing to me, just ordering 3 dinners and letting Dylan cook 1 or 2 of them just for a bit of a break, because I love cooking, but it does get tedious. Which is a nice segue into the next pro, I think, of HelloFresh, which is variety of meals. And I think that if you're like me and you're a busy person and you just spend so much time, grocery shopping, meal prepping, meal planning, and obviously I try and do a lot of this on a budget, you end up eating a lot of the same sort of foods. So our go-to, and if you've watched my grocery hauls, you'll know, our go-to is spaghetti bolognese. I make tacos or taco, or anything Mexican sort of inspired. I do lots of stews, curries, chicken schnitzel veg, steak veg, and that's kind of it. And I don't really add any new spins or twists to it most of the time, because a lot of the time I'm cooking for convenience. I used to cook a little bit more fancy before I had Emmett, and I had the time to really play around with heaps of different dishes and get to the point where you're like, I'm just going to run through my repertoire of what I've got. And that's fine, but I think HelloFresh kind of just reinvigorates your weekday meals, and I think that for that reason alone, it's worth having a go at, just getting it a week and just seeing what you think and just trying out a few different new recipes and seeing what suits your family and seeing if there's anything that you want to add. And again, into the next point, they provide you with these really nice coloured recipe cards, which I keep, and you can then use those as a resource to repeat any of the meals that you really enjoyed. And I think that way they don't go to waste as well. They are cardboard, so obviously you could recycle them, but yeah, I keep them for any that we really enjoyed. We got the family box, and I think that the family box flavors were really appropriate for probably the average palate. There were a few things in there that are a little bit, different for some people perhaps, but I think for the most part they're fairly standard, and they're basically, putting new twists on food you already eat, like a chicken burger, but instead of just regular chicken, you coated the chicken in kind of like a taco type seasoning and just added a little different kick to it. Or, you crumbed chicken in sesame seeds and breadcrumbs. So just those kinds of little twists on meals I think are really good and make it really interesting. What else do I have to say? Basically, it's convenient. It's reinvigorates your meals. The meals don't take too long to cook. They probably take a little longer than meals I'm used to, but again, they're not my recipes. So following a recipe or just even reading ahead takes a little bit of time. Why choose HelloFresh? I guess because it's convenient, because it reinvigorates, because it offers you a different thing. Why no? Why not choose HelloFresh? Okay, I do think it's expensive, but of course, you are paying for a company who has to advertise, to market, to send out promotional products to influencers, to promote their product, to give discounts. You're paying for the shipping, you are paying for the packaging, you are paying for the people who put the boxes together, you are paying for an entire corporate team. So, of course, it's going to be at least double what you'd pay yourself. If you can get a 50% off box or like $50 off, and I've got a code for $50 off, which I'll put below. Oh, hang on, I'll put it on the screen. Yeah, whatever. And I'll just let you know, be really transparent. If you use this code and it's the first time that you've used it, you get $50 off your first box, and I will also get $50 credit. So I'm just being really obvious about that, so you know where you stand. So yeah, it's going to be more expensive, but if you can get a discount code, or if you can get some percentage off or some dollars off, I think that it's worth giving it a shot. I do think that for the most part, the meals are quite tasty. They're generously portioned. They add variety, and you get to try something different. But I do think the cost is something that you must consider. I think for a busy family who has the money and wants to eat healthier, and when I say healthier, some of the meals are very high calorie, but I think that's often because of things like nuts and mayonnaises and things. So if you chose to omit those and you cooked a little bit less butter and oil, you could easily drop the calories by 200-300 like really quickly, because I think for the most part the meals are quite healthy, and they definitely try and pack some hidden veg and things in there for the kids, which I think is a really good thing if you have fussy eaters. So overall I think that the cons are the cost, the packaging, and sometimes the produce isn't as fresh. My experience this time was positive and I had really decent produce. They're my main negatives. I think that the positives, if you can afford it, mostly outweigh those negatives, unless obviously you are super, super conscious of the environment. They also have an excellent vegetarian plan now. Those vegetarian meals look delicious, so I'd really like to try that one week and just kind of, eat 3 vegetarian meals for the week and just give them a bit of a whirl. Just using stuff like, halloumi and tofu in different kind of ways to kind of spice up the meal. Anyway, I've spoken a lot, but that's my, broad overview of how I feel about HelloFresh. If you have any questions at all, please comment below and I will do my best to answer them. This is not paid, this is not sponsored, this is not a promotional post in any way. This is just my honest review and opinion of the meal delivery kit. My personal preference is I prefer HelloFresh over Marley Spoon. I just find that Marley Spoon isn't as family friendly for what we like to eat. They're not as typical meals. For me, it's fine, but for my husband and for my son, the meals are a little bit more out there, and sometimes you just got to keep it simple. All right, thank you so much for watching. As always, like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.